Hey everyone! One of my sisters recently got her very first internship, and as a congratulatory present for her, I wanted to make some cute little decorations for her desk. Plants are always really nice to have around you, but in a cubicle setting, it's kind of hard to keep anything alive. And I haven't seen her workspace yet. I don't know how much sunlight hits her desk, so I decided to play it safe and I made her a few faux plants. I ended up using mostly fake succulents because I feel like they look more realistic than other types of fake plants. Of course, I'm going to show you guys how to make some of your own, so let's get started. You'll need some fake plants, and as I mentioned earlier, I got succulents, but I also got a little square of fake grass, scissors, sand, a block of styrofoam, a hot glue gun, some pots, some balsa wood, an X-Acto knife, a saw, Mod Podge, some paint, or whatever you want to finish the pots with. First, I'll start with the grass. I thought it could make a pretty neat looking pen or pencil holder. I wanted it to be long, so I'm going to cut the grass chunk in half. First, take your balsa wood and cut 2 pieces twice as long as the grass chunk, and 2 pieces that are half as wide as the grass chunk. If you buy wood that's thin enough, you could probably just use an X-Acto knife to cut it, but mine was just too thick, so I had to bust out my saw. But my saw made really quick work of this wood. Because it's so light, the saw just cuts through it like a hot knife through butter. Use the hot glue to attach the sides together. Now you can see how much wood you need to cut for the bottom. The piece of wood was slightly wider than the walls, so I ended up cutting that piece a tiny bit longer, so there was about a 1/8 inch lip around the bottom edge. Glue the bottom on. Now finish the wood however you'd like. I wanted the wood grain to be visible still, so I just sprayed it with some clear acrylic spray and then let that dry. Cut the grass in half so that you can position it into a long line of grass. When I test fit the grass, I realized that it was sitting a little too low in the box for my taste, so I ended up cutting some of the styrofoam and gluing it into the bottom of the box, and that helped to push it up a little bit. Now just glue the grass into the box and you're done. Now onto the succulent plants. I decided to make a little trio. First, if you want to, paint the pots. I painted mine with about 3 coats of white paint, and then used, surprise surprise, liquid gold leaf as an accent. Make sure you paint at least a ½ inch down into the pot as well. For the first one, I painted small circles around the pot, mostly towards the bottom, and it kind of looks like falling confetti or something. For the second one, first, I painted a strip around the whole bottom, and then I added some vertical lines at different heights, and then I topped them with little circles. They kind of look like little abstract plants or something. For the third one, I started by painting a thin strip around the bottom, then I painted alternating big and small triangles. Then I went and filled the smaller triangles in. Once they're dry, flip one over onto the styrofoam and trace around the lip. Then draw a line about 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Use your X-Acto knife to cut the circle out. This will make it fit into the pot better. Use this piece of foam to trace the other pieces. Cut those out and taper them as well. Glue these into the pots. You'll probably have little gaps between the foam and the pot. Try your best to fill these in with hot glue. The next step is to put sand into the pots, so if there are any big holes, the sand will fall through. The whole reason for the styrofoam here is so that you don't have to fill up the whole pot with sand. You only need enough sand for looks, so it's better to fill the space with styrofoam. Take the fake plants apart. I was able to just pull them apart like so. Cut them down until there's just about 1 inch of stem. Poke the plants into the styrofoam, using your X-Acto knife to widen the holes if the stems are too thick. Mix 2 parts sand to 1 part Mod Podge. It should look like wet sand, the kind that you build sandcastles with. Pour the sand into the pots and pat down with your finger. For this one, I removed the succulent first, and then poured the sand in and flattened it down. Then I placed the succulent back in. It was a lot easier to do it this way for this particular succulent because it sits really low and it's kind of wide, so it would be hard to try to pour the sand in around it. For this one, I poured the sand in with the plant still in the pot. And then for this last one, I repeated what I did for the first one because I think it's a little bit easier to just place the sand when the plant isn't in the way. Let the sand dry, and you're done! And now you have some cute desk decorations. I hope you all enjoyed this week's project. If you did, please leave a like. If you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. I post DIY videos every Thursday. You can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Pinterest, and I'll leave the information to those down below. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next week.